Welcome back. Let's have lunch. We're on Proverbs 13. A wise son accepts his father's discipline, but a scoffer shall not listen to rebuke. From the fruit of the mouth a man eats the good, but the desire of the treacherous is for violence. He who watches over his mouth guards his being, but he who opens wide his lips comes to ruin. The being of the lazy one craves, but has not, while the being of the hard worker are enriched. A righteous one hates a lying word, but a wrong man is loathsome and comes to shame. Righteousness watches over him who is perfect in the way, but wrongness overthrows the sinner. There is one who makes himself rich, yet has none at all, and he who makes himself poor, yet has riches. The ransom of a man's life is his riches, but the poor does not hear rebuke. The light of the righteous rejoices, but the lamp of the wrong is put out. By pride comes only strife, but wisdom is with those who take advice. Wealth from vanity diminishes, but he who gathers by hand increases. Expectancy drawn out makes the heart sick. But a longing come true is a tree of life. He who despises the word is destroyed, but he who fears the command is rewarded. The Torah of the wise is a foundation of life, turning one away from the snares of death. Good understanding gains favor, but the way of the treacherous is hard. Everyone with insight acts with knowledge, but a fool spreads folly. A messenger that is wrong falls into evil, but a trustworthy envoy is a healing. Poverty and shame are for him who ignores discipline, but he who heeds reproof is esteemed. A desire accomplished is sweet to the being, but to turn away from evil is an abomination to fools. He who walks with the wise shall be wise, but the companion of fools suffers evil. Evil pursues sinners, but good is repaid to the righteous. A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children, but the wealth of the sinner is stored up for the righteous. Much food is in the tillable ground of the poor, but lack of right ruling sweeps it away. He who spares his rod hates his son, but he who loves him seeks him with discipline. The righteous eats to the satisfying of his being, but the stomach of the wrong is lacking. Every wise woman has built her house, but the foolish breaks it down with her hands. He who walks in his straightness fears Yehovah, but he whose ways are crooked despise him. In the mouth of a fool is a rod of pride, but the lips of the wise guard them. Where there are no oxen, the crib is clean, but from the strength of an ox comes much increase. A trustworthy witness does not lie, but a false witness breathes out lies. A scoffer shall seek wisdom, but find none. But knowledge is swift to him who has understanding. Leave the presence of a foolish man, for you shall not perceive the lips of knowledge. The wisdom of the clever is to understand his way, but the folly of fools is deceit. Fools scoff at guilt, but among the straight there is delight. The heart knows its own bitterness, and no stranger shares its joy. The house of the wrong is destroyed, but the tent of the straight flourishes. There is a way which seems right to a man, but its end is the way of death. Even in laughter, the heart is in pain, and the end of that joy is heaviness. The backslider in heart is satisfied with his own ways, but a good man is satisfied from his. The simple believes every word, but the clever one watches his steps. The wise fears and turns away from evil, but a fool rushes on and is reckless. He who is impatient acts foolishly, and a man who plans wickedness is hated. The simple shall inherit folly, but the clever are crowned with knowledge. The evil one shall bow before the good, and the wrong one at the gate of the righteous. The poor is hated even by his own neighbor, but the rich man has many friends. He who despises his neighbor sins, but he who shows favor to the poor, oh, blessed is he. Do not those who plan evil go astray, but loving commitment and truth are to those who plan good. In all labor there is profit, but talk of the lips lead only to poverty. The crown of the wise is their wealth. The folly of fools is folly. A true witness saves lives, but he who breathes out lies is a betrayer. In the fear of Jehovah is strong trust, and his children have a place of refuge. The fear of Jehovah is a fountain of life, to turn away from the snares of death. In a multitude of people is a sovereign splendor, but in the lack of people is the ruin of a prince. He who is patient has great understanding, but he who is short of spirit exalts folly. A healthy heart is life to the body, but envy is rottenness to the bones. He who oppresses the poor reproaches his maker, but he who esteems him shows favor to the needy. By his own evil doing, the wrong is thrust down, but the righteous has a refuge in his death. Wisdom rests in the heart of him who has understanding, and even among fools it becomes known. Righteousness exalts a nation, and loving commitment to the peoples is sin. The sovereign's delight is toward a wise servant, but his wrath is toward him who causes shame.